Hi, I'm Dan Brown. I have three hats. My first is as a psychologist and clinician. I've been on the Harvard Medical School faculty for 38 years now and do a lot of clinical teaching. I wrote a main textbook on treatment of trauma and how people remember trauma, called Memory Trauma Treatment and the Law. And I wrote another main textbook on treatment of attachment disorders in children and adults. I also ran a behavioral medicine program for 10 years, done a lot of work with couples. So I'm sort of a generalist when it comes to clinical work, but those are my specialty areas. I also do a lot of work in the trauma and abuse field, so I do a lot of work in the courts as an expert witness. I worked on, over a 12-year span, I worked as a consultant to the prosecutors for the International War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. I've done 70 priest abuse cases against the Catholic Church. I worked on the Bobby Kennedy assassination for 12 years and exposed some of the government cover-up in that situation. And the third hat that I wear is that I've been working with the Tibetans for 47 years, studying meditation and translating for them. My first root lama in the 1970s, I lived with Summers for 9 years. His name was Geshe Wangyal. He was actually Mongolian. And his root lama was Ling Rinpoche, who was the Dalai Lama's senior teacher. And then, but my root lama was much older than the Dalai Lama, so when he died in the early 70s, the Dalai Lama became my default teacher for a while until he became too busy and too famous. But the third of that group was a man named Denmo Locho Rinpoche, who was the head of the Dalai Lama's monastery, the abbot of Namgyal Monastery in Dharamsala, and we taught together with a team of Tibetans and myself for about 15 years. And since then, I've been teaching more advanced meditations in the Mahamudra and Dzogchen traditions with Rahab Tulku, or the emanation of Padmasambhava, and more recently, my main teacher has been for the last 12 years His Holiness Menri Treising, the spiritual head of the lineage holder of the Bon. He's also the Dalai Lama's meditation teacher. And I've been translating for him, and I've been working particularly on preserving the very advanced meditations of the cave and hermitage yogis before all these practices die out, because there are very few people who can do them anymore. My task is to translate the texts and put them into forms for Westerners and film the meditation so we have a documentation of all these practices while we can preserve them in the West. So I keep myself busy.